Hello, this is episode 7 of my playthrough of The Roottrees Are Dead. And I'm jumping right into it. I've got some things to think about. Because we are in the final stretch of finding out the last bits and bobs of this tree. And there are a couple of things that I've been thinking about offline. The first of which is that I don't know shit about Guy Hudson. We know that he is married to someone named Patricia. We don't know what her last name is. We don't really know much about like Angelica's family or about Guy or about Bonnie. So I want to try and like isolate this part of the tree and see if we can figure out this one and then maybe force a discovery about November and see if I am right about this. Because Edward is another character that we don't know shit about. I do think that this is like the meat and potatoes, right? Like this is the important parts to figure out in order to unlock the top secret shit. So this may even be the last thing that we discover. Robert Roottree, I just don't know where we discern something about him. Maybe we do something with Penelope. Maybe we learn a little bit more about Ronald. Like maybe there's something that we can figure out. And then there's Tessa Roottree. And, you know, I feel like maybe this was a little bit of misdirection. But if it's Tessa Roottree, the most likely candidate for that is here. Tessa Roottree. Because no one else... I mean, these two, right? So we're swapping between these two, and theoretically also Samantha Roottree, right? So it could be, you know, I have put Samantha Roottree for no other reason than she's related to Sam in some capacity. So she could also be like fucking Tessa Roottree, or she could be November Roottree. Probably not November. So she might be Tessa. Yeah, there's nothing connecting Tessa, like this name, down the line, right? So they did not name their children after their mother, or, you know, maybe that would be reflected in some capacity, but it does not appear to be. So, like I said, we also like this. So here's what we know. This is pretty much confirmed. Caroline is confirmed. So we have this one locked in. So if we can figure out these three, we probably have our 4. Then the next thing that we want to try and figure out is probably his family, Robert, and then Elias's relationship and his daughter. So I want to start with Guy Hudson. And what I thought was, why don't we go to Business Watch and do Guy Hudson? Guy Hudson, along with his twin sister, are no strangers to the public when it comes to the Roottree snacks. They both appeared in the company's advertisements as children during the Boys and Girls Agree era. Okay, I don't think you know what I think I've been doing is I've been doing Guy Hudson Roottree. So this is the Free Spirit generation. Well, this is the search. So let's do, well, we did this one, so we can delete that. Now Guy is taking over the Roottree company at the end of the year. Who would have known that one of those two adorable redheads? Oh, I've been wrong this whole fucking time. I apologize, Miss Tessa. Or Sam or whomever. Oh, wait, no. Guy Hudson is the redhead. Well, now, is she the author? I'm naming every fucking woman in this game. So now, maybe this is her and him. And then we put this as Gwendolyn. And we make her not a hairdresser, a housewife. Also, we're just making all of the... I feel incredibly sexist doing this, but we're making them all housewives. Interesting. Or maybe I should make them all authors. Actually, that makes more sense. If we make all of them authors, eventually one of them is going to lock in. Since she is publishing, the woman, the mysterious dame at the door, as I've called her, is... we'll even make her an author. We're going to make all the women authors, damn it. I mean, this makes sense in a way, right? Like, we're trying to catch who she is. And if they're all authors, you know, it's got to work in some way eventually. An artist, an author. And okay. Yeah. This works. Bonnie has an extra picture too. That's interesting. All right, let's keep reading. Oops. Who would have known that one of those two adorable redheads? Guy credits his mother and father, Angie and Christopher. We know about that. So Christopher was a redhead. God damn it. I'm so bad at navigating. Arguing over anything but chocolate would grow up to take over the whole company. Guy's uncle and current president, Zachariah, has decided to take an early retirement to focus on traveling the world with his wife. Zach was quoted as saying, "Now that our daughters have started families of their own, Claire and I plan to reflect on a life well lived." Guy is new to the business world, but he's family. We at the Roottree have faith in his innovative ideas, and he's eager to share them with the world. We'd like to think that boys and girls agree that he's ready to succeed. Interesting. Okay, what about Angie Hudson? Because that's kind of nothing about Angie. Okay. Bonnie Hudson? I don't remember we looked this stuff up. No. Have I just done Guy Hudson? Fancy Flavors was an addition... Wait, this is the one that tastes like caviar, right? Yeah. I remember looking this up at the very least. So boys and girls generation. Did I spell that right? Boys and girls agree. That's what it was. You find a site about successful ad campaigns. One of the ads listed is from the late 50s Boys and Girls Agree. It is a series of television and magazine ads for Roottree chocolate bars. The ad campaign is described as having the premise that boys and girls are often diametrically opposed, except when it comes to one thing. Both of them agree that Roottree is their favorite. The first advertisement in the series was the most memorable due to the bright red hair of the boy and girl involved. One of the magazine advertisements has been added to your evidence. Boys and girls never agree on one thing or on anything except Roottree. Boys and girls agree. It's gotta be Roottree. This is an ad for Roottree candy from the late 50s. It was part of a campaign called Boys and Girls Agree, which included television and print advertisements. The ad campaign is designed to having the premise that boys and girls are often diametrically opposed, right? Maybe we can learn something about David Kellogg, because he's an athlete and that could have information. We have an extra picture of him now. The real, I feel like I had her as housewife before and it just did not end up clicking. So there's no point in doing that again. Yeah, let's not get distracted. So maybe let's look up Patricia Christensen. Actually, let's look up in Butler County Times, Guy Hudson. Right. Patricia died in a car accident. Remember this. What about Patricia Christensen? Christensen Steel was a steel company in the early 1900s. You find a few mentions in the Butler County Times. Some are old birth announcements in the Butler County Times from the then owner Matthias Christensen. The only name that looks familiar is Christian, or Patricia Christensen, the third of his 4 children, who was born in 1908. So that's not his wife. There was a front page article in 1944 saying that the Vice President of the United States had stopped there to visit the factory floor. The company stopped being advertised around 1949. Around that time, there was a blurb saying that Matthias was stepping down and attempting to sell the company. So let's look up Patricia Jones. Nothing relevant. What about... We're just going to search all of them. Fuck it. Business Watch. Nothing. But that is likely his wife because the other Patricia was born in 1908. Let's look up Bonnie Hudson in Business Watch. She also was like in maybe Starlet or Teen Blast? No. Music, Business Watch, County Times. And then there's nothing in Spider Search, is there? Okay, let's look up her son, David Kellogg. So David... What about in the newspaper? Nothing. Maybe Bethany Kellogg? Let me look back at... Did he say anything about his wife? No. Maybe we need to start looking at the names that we haven't filled in yet. But the problem is that I don't know... See, this is interesting. Maybe this isn't. Maybe this is him. They both have glasses. But, like, the family tends to pair each other closely, you know? Like, this is certainly true. It could be that this isn't Gwendolyn and that this is. And then this isn't Gwyneth. That is. We really don't know for sure. Because this also could be him instead. The thing is that, like, all of the portraits, they keep the family close to one another. Like, if we look at this again, we just haven't identified him, but that's probably Sam. Is there anything? They posted this in front of us. Found years that they never took. Yeah, this. Swims for Yukon. Maybe that's what we should look up. It's Yukon. You search for Yukon, you find out that it's the University of Connecticut and David Cove, of course, and their swim team, the Huskies. Huskies. Doesn't seem relevant. I was hoping that maybe his mom cared or something. David Kellogg the fourth. Third. What if we look up in this David Kellogg the fourth? Third. No. Okay. What if we look up Ernest Jr. Madsen? Maybe we need to do Ernest Madsen Jr. Ernest Madsen. Have I spelled his name right? No, I haven't. Fuck. No. Did I not? There we go. An article from from 1982 announces that Ernest Madsen Jr. is taking over the day-to-day operations of Roottree after the previous president died, unexpectedly. Little is known. That was when Guy died. Little is known about Ernest, but sources close to the family who have asked to remain anonymous have made it clear that he is more than qualified. There are rumors that Ernest was originally trained to succeed Zach Morden, but had been passed up for unspecified reasons. Business Watch also managed to get a quote from the company's publicist. We don't know who the publicist is, do we? The last 4 years at Roottree have been rough. In an attempt to keep our products relevant to the modern audiences, some of our decisions have unintended consequences, from the fancy flavors misstep to the batter up bar. I don't know if we've looked up fancy flavors specifically. We've taken a bit of tumble in the public eye, but Mr. Madsen is committed to get back to the basics. Batter Up Bar was a failed candy bar released by Roottree Company. Launched with great fanfare in 1980, it was meant to evoke the classic combination of pancakes and maple syrup. The name came from the fact that its recipe used a creamy imitation of pancake batter as its filling, and the packaging had baseball imagery. Customers loved the taste, and the candy launched to stellar reviews, but after a little less than a month on the shelf, it was discovered that the filling of unopened bars began to separate and develop an off-putting texture described as powdery chunks floating in oily goop. This odd consistency made it the punchline of late-night jokes for weeks, solidifying its reputation as a failure. Fancy flavors, then. Right. Still this. Damn, nothing more for this. But somebody in this company, they do have a publicist somewhere. Who would be their publicist? What did Angelica do, man? Maybe we can see if we can learn more about Gwendolyn. Let me make sure I spelled it right. Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn. Okay. Nothing. What's her last name? Morden. Let's do Morden. It's E-N, right? Yes. What about her husband, James Morden? Nothing. Maybe we can learn some more about Zachariah in the business. So I'm also literally alt-tabbing again. It's so fucking funny. Zachariah. So let's just use Zach Roottree. Actually, it's Morden, isn't it? 1959, there was a small blurb about Zach Morden, son of James and Gwendolyn Morden, and grandson of Elias Roottree. He's quoted saying, "Elias trusted me with carrying on, blah, 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 blah." Not making any changes. Nothing relevant. Anything about his wife? No. Stephen Wilson, maybe? We can try and find more about Stephen Wilson. Team Blast? No. I know that this is going to show his practice again. Yeah, that's the only one. I don't think there's anything that we'll find about this in like Business Watch or County Times. Oh. Does not have practice in Butler County. It seems he operates out of Warrendale, which is somewhere between Butler County and Pittsburgh. Hmm. Yeah, I guess we'll put this back to Samantha. And we'll do this as Tessa, I suppose. There's got to be more that we can learn about Guy. I'm just like clicking around accidentally. Let me look at this picture again. Yeah, see, like they're paired together, they're paired together, they're paired together. These two are paired together. She's the youngest. Let me think about this. We know that these two are a pair. They are the twins. We know these two are a pair. They're also basically like twins. I feel like these three are the brothers. So I don't think... I think this is him. Maybe it's not, though. He's not wearing glasses and anything. And he does have facial hair. So it seems more likely that that's him. But what does that mean? Who would be the youngest? So we're pretty confident that that's her because, God, she looks exactly like the other one that we have of her. I just don't understand why he would be separated from the rest of his family if that were the case. I guess he has a mustache too, and then he doesn't in like he has a beard here, so I shouldn't be basing it off of facial hair. So let's say that it is him. He doesn't have glasses though in anything else. That's the problem. There's also a way that I can get additional oh, no. It's their childhood pictures. We have a picture of her. We don't have an extra picture of either of these two. I'm more inclined to think that it's the two kids that are closest to one another. Which would leave... It's not Gwendolyn, that's for sure. Her. But I don't know what her occupation is. I guess we could look up Zach Wilson, Jem Wilson, see if we learn anything about them. Not surprised. We could look up the periodicals, though. Well, they don't live in They don't live in this county, do they? So that wouldn't likely yield any results. I really wish I knew more. I feel like there's a way that we could learn more about his daughters through Zachariah or his mother. So maybe we need to find out more about Zach somehow. God damn it, I keep alt-tabbing. Zachariah. God damn it. Zacaria. Yeah. Zachariah Morden. Then we do that, and that's the little blurb. There's nothing about him, which is crazy to me. How else do I learn about him? Like his wife. Yeah, nothing about them either. We can just eliminate her entirely. I wish I could remove her, right? Maybe we could start looking up names that we haven't found yet. So, sure. Let's start doing that. Tessa Roottree. November Roottree. Samantha Roottree. Alright, let's go to the periodicals now. Business Watch, Samantha Roottree. County Times, Tessa Roottree. Business Watch, November Roottree. County Times. Nothing. Who else do we have? We have so many people, man. Catherine Wilkins. Maybe we look up Robert Roottree. Robert Roottree. Bob. We're losing sight of this specific grouping. Maybe we need to just review some of the evidence that we have and see if maybe there's something I've missed. Yeah, it's not in order. What does this say? What does the whole art piece say? Bifurcation. Dichotomy. Okay. So nothing relevant. Nothing more here, really. Nothing here, I imagine. Something middle school, but I mean, we could look up middle school. Yeah, I didn't think so. Nothing else really relevant there. Anything in the background? Not really. Also, nothing here that's really notable. The Laugh Lounge? We could look this up, I suppose. Penelope Tessa Green is a retired comedian. Right. We read about this. What about Brother Trouble? Yeah, we did look up this. What have we learned about Ron? We know about Dustin and Tommy. We know about Penelope. Family Man, the Roottree Legacy. Did we look this up? And it was Bess Williams, right? I think we did. Yeah. Maybe we need to learn more about Root. Brenda Roottree. We haven't really looked into Brenda, have we? Ha ha ha. A black and blue and white and gold dress. He he he. Yeah, nothing there. Maybe we need to look at the periodicals and Business Watch and look up a Root. Oops. I can't remember if we've done this. So I'd Watchman of the Year for his work. Already seen that. Nothing in there. Nothing in there. Nothing in there. Lots of advertisements. And Raina. Okay. Common trick. This is just to figure out their name. Bess Williams. Family Man. It's impossible. Watchman of the Year. Maybe that's what we should look up. Business Watchman. Yeah. Nothing else new for that. 5 pieces. We have the. What about volume 1? This is a book about all things candy throughout history. It starts with historical accounts. 5 pieces that Charles Lee included due to a major misprint. We hadn't seen this one yet. One, two, three, four, 5. Oh, egg cream. You found this advertisement in the Sweet History of Candy Volume 1 by Charles Lee. It's from 1924, 2 years after the debut of 5 pieces. The author included it because of the spelling error on the word available near the bottom. Grape, elderberry, egg cream, cinnamon extract, and melon. G is for grape. E is for elderberry. Egg cream. EC is for egg cream. CE is for cinnamon extract. M is for melon. Who is EC? Do we have an EC somewhere? What the fuck does that mean? Miracle. And him being 14 years younger is curious. Interesting. So egg cream is a bit of a clue here. Because Elias is definitely elderberry. And then EC should be someone here. Because Clancy is the next one. So I'm curious what that means. They may have another child here that Elias may have had out of wedlock. Named EC. Eloise, maybe. Alright, let's keep looking at evidence, because obviously we've just found something new. I want to keep looking at my search history. Diamonds, Dazzlers. Sure, this is going into gym and shit. Might skip some of that. Beef Baby, Peter Janowitz, Modern Music Monthly, Raffertunes, LaRue's, the Clancid Trust. I wonder if there's a way that I could learn. Maybe we need to do something about blood relative. Yeah. It's so emphatic. Roottrees versus RR. Like between wars. WRTD news. Maybe we can do investigative jazz? Nope. Oh. During the interview. Roottree curse, of course. And Elias was poisoned. Plane crash. Mayan Ruby Skull. Let's look that up. Mayan Ruby Skull is a symbol of death. Blurry photo. It's giving, you know... Right, so... Yeah, this is just a conspiracy. But who knows? Maybe there could be some information. We did look up this, and we found him. Helicopter land. Thomas Overwood we looked up, I'm pretty sure. We looked up the time cubes. Did we really look up much about Brenda? Maybe we should look it up as Brenda White. I don't know if I... No, I remember this. Charity event and broke his arm falling down some stairs. Mentions Ernie. From Ernie Jr. The article does mention an illness as the reason that Ernie Jr. was stepping down. Anything about him? He Find an article from December 1995. Root president to take over Roottree. Due to heart illness, Ernie Jr. is stepping down as president of Roottree at the start of the second quarter in 1996. His second cousin Carl, president of sister company Root and former Watchman of the Year, will take over. It's been 13 years since Ernie was forced to step into the role of president unexpectedly. Back then, not much was known about the man other than his full name. In the years since, he has taken on a bit of a reputation as a real-life Wonka. He's known as a bit of an eccentric and a recluse, opting to be simply called Ernie Jr. and to forgo the typical luxuries of the average Roottree. But in our estimation, he has been a shrewd businessman with an eye for sweets. Record profits by developing new products, including the ever-popular Maple Crisps. And by spearheading the foundation of Root with his cousin in 1982 after learning of Brenda Roottree's power in the fashion community. So he wasn't really president when he stepped down. Ernie Jr. was a former president of the Roottree Candy Company. He seemed to directly precede Carl Roottree. And one website even said that he was Carl's mentor. He was apparently very successful as a president, but not so much as a public figure. He was rarely seen in public and stepped down due to illness in 1996. He's since passed away. So what if we said, instead of being a president, because he did step down, what would we call him? Because he steps down before he dies. Maybe he is... What would he have been in, you know? What if we read this letter again? Carl and Brenda, I'm sorry that you're unable to attend the funeral. It's traditional. Have it as soon as possible. And Ernie, more than anyone else on Earth, knew how busy your job can be. We close the Shiva candle identical to ours if you'd like to pay your Ernie, not only for but his family's legacy, an immense amount of pride. And work you three did together as well as Carl taking over. It's impossible. But we caught it too late for him to get on the donor list. The company took care of us beyond the wildest expectation. It was unsaid at the time, but Ernie and I knew it had to have been Carl that convinced the trust. Maybe we need to look at the Roottree Trust. Why would Ernie have been in financial trouble? Or, though we caught it too late for him to get on the donor list, the company took care of us beyond our wildest expectations. The panic and burden of endless bills. But they should have been fine, financially. So why aren't they? Up until the end, Ernie and I had to stay strong. Maybe we need to look up the Roottree Trust again. Damn. That doesn't really reveal what his job would be after he stepped down. We really don't know if this is him either. I've got him as an author too. We don't know anything about Edward. Maybe we look up Clancy Edward Roottree. Did I spell his name wrong? No E. Fuck. He's a lawyer. No publicist. Who would be their publicist? You know? I mean, maybe she's the publicist. They don't have a publicist, do they? As a job. Pro athlete. I guess it would be like media mogul. Fuck. Have we done any researching on Elias Jr.? Elias Roottrees Jr.'s name is listed on a website about historical buildings in Butler County. He's listed alongside an old residence that has been preserved called Hutchtop House. You attempt to find more information about the man in the building, but come up empty. So even if I do this... nothing. Small feature details a building that Elias Roottree Jr.'s architecture firm worked on, Hutchtop House. Also mentioned that Elias Jr. was Elias's oldest son. Hutchtop House seems unrelated to the Rootrees. Okay. Ernie Jr. Directly precede Carl's mentor. Damn. Let's look him up in Business Watch at least. Nothing relevant. Or we could do Elias Roottree. Just Elias. Elias Roottree was awarded... Right, that's the Elias M. Nothing. Yeah, we're still missing pictures. Right? Or are we? We know who this is. We know who this is. And I think it's this... her. Could be... She... November is written on the fucking picture. All right, let's go back to this and do some thinking. Okay, so... Bonnie... Guy Hudson... Ernie Jr., possibly Caroline. Or Caroline. Gwyneth M. Is her, right? No, that's Bonnie. Gwyneth M is Gwyneth Madsen. Gwendolyn, potentially. Miracle Jr. Jim Roottree. Clark. Oh, wait, no. Jim Roottree, maybe. Clark, Carl. Eli. This has to be November. But she's so young. Maybe this is November. And because of them being older, it makes sense that she's here instead. She could be in college by now. And that would be 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna put her back to housewife. Her back to housewife. Do student K through 12, I guess. She wouldn't be though, because she's not in the same generation as these. There isn't another picture of her either. We know that Patricia Christensen. Maybe we really do need to start looking up people's names in multiple places. Anything about her pieces of local art? Asked about the inspiration. Atlantis' burden. Why don't we look this up? Nothing. We did read this already. Maybe we need to do that. Caroline in the Butler County Times. Caroline Morden? Right. Standing behind. I'm looking to see if maybe her... No. What about... Did we already look up Stephanie? I think we did. My mother and her partner essentially had an entirely female influence. Business owner, Brian Jones. Why don't we look him up? Right. Let's look up Brian Jones. There are many advertisements over the years, as well as a small article from 1995 about Jones Graphic and Print. The article is a piece about Brian Jones taking over his father's print company after 20 years. Brian seems to have not let it go to waste his marketing opportunity during an interview portion. I've been in and out of the shop my whole life. My father taught me everything there is to know when it comes to getting the job done right and getting it done quick. We've been printing a staple of Butler County for years, and even the Butler County Times uses us for their coupon pages a few times a year. Thanks, by the way. He laughs. But still, whether you're a new client or one of our regulars, nothing will change. Come on down for the best prices on bulk printing anywhere in the state of Pennsylvania. Search for us online. I designed the website myself. Jones Graphic and Print. Ooh, this could be helpful. Jones Graphic and Print is a company that, according to its website, has existed in Butler County for some time. The website seems fancy. It even has frames. The website lists the address, hours, and a few examples of the clients and the type of work that was done for each. Stephanie Jones Campaign, mailers. Roottree Candy Company, various businesses. Butler County Holiday Lights, Miracle Network, tour flyers. Roottree Motors, coupon foot. Okay. Roottree Motors. Delete these. Butler County School District. Butler Summer Theater. Children of Eden. And they do web design. Let's do Children of Eden first. Children of Eden is a musical with songs by Steven Schwartz. A game designer by the name of Jeremy Johnston really likes it, realizing it could kind of fit timeline-wise with the game he was making, and decided to use it instead of something fake as a kind of Easter egg. You don't need to check it out, but if you do, I like the songs The Hardest Part of Love and Lost in Wilderness. Also, if you haven't already, you should hit the back button to go back to Jones Graphic and Print instead of searching for Children of Eden. You should probably search for whoever was performing it. Butler Summer Theater. Butler Summer Theater performs plays and musicals during the summer. Makes sense. As it is not summer currently, their website is a thank you message. Thank you for making our 1998 season such a success. Stay tuned for announcements about performances in 1989. The The website lists the credits of a musical, which seems to be the final show they performed last season. There's a cast list, but none of the names seem relevant. By November Studios. Additional set designs, which we saw. And choreography by November Studios. Local dance school. Okay. November Studios. No mention studios because you can't find anything. Fuckers. Local dance school. They advertise lessons for ballet and jazz classes. There's hardly any other information available. Below the cast, it lists the crew, and two things stand out. Jones Graphics and Print. All right. Well, we'll need to figure out more about this. Let's just set this aside. Can't find more information on this yet. Need to research more. Choreography. November Studios. Dancer. November is a dancer. But is she... It could be either of these. Okay. I'm still convinced that it's Edward's son. Or daughter, rather. And this might be Tessa, then. Or Samantha. We have no idea who that is yet. But November is a dancer. That's 1, 2, 3. We just need one more to lock in, man. What's interesting is all of the women I have listed are put as author at some point. I guess I should swap them all back to author again to see if any of them lock in. Author, 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 author. I mean, fuck it. Make you an author. I don't know who you are, though, because we don't have any pictures of Tessa or Elias M's children. But Roottree Motors might be helpful. Gotcha. Okay. That's a big, helpful clue. Okay, so let's go back here and we're going to do Roottree Motors. Find a hit for Roottree Motors on Jones Graphic and Print. You don't find any trace of them on the internet. As a local business, they may be featured other places. Roottree Motors. There's an ad for Roottree Motors in the paper. It seems Roottree Motors used to be called Wilkins Motors. An ad for Roottree Motors has run in every week of Butler County's Times for many years, but recently changed to include a picture. 3 different unique versions of the ad have been added to your evidence. Wilkins Motors. Business Watch. Nothing. We have 3 ads. Wilkins Motors is now Roottree Motors. We may have a new name, but we promise we're still the same family business. All that's different is we've joined a sweeter family. So my guess then is that this is Catherine Wilkins. Funny noises need oil will fix her up. Roottree Motors ad that ran from 1974 to 1977. Advertised that the former name of Roottree Motors was Wilkins Motors. Wilkins Motors is still named the family, just joined the Roottrees. Roottree Motors, your local family mechanic servicing the entire Pittsburgh area. Tessa Roottree, our newest fixer, learned all there is to know about cars from her Roottree Motor parents. Yes! We got something! Oh! We needed this. I wanted at least one this episode, man. Oh, we actually got 4. Oh, right. I forgot there's 4. Okay. This is amazing. And I think I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger so that you're enticed to watch next episode as we figure out what we can learn after we've now confirmed this bit of information. Because you may notice that none of the women authors that I have assigned are among the included. So that means we still don't know who the dame at the door is. I wish I could have monologued, but alas, we'll have to wait until next time. I had a lot of fun playing. I hope you had fun watching. See you again. Goodbye.